Abraham Lincoln History. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States, serving from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. He is considered one of the most important and influential figures in American history, known for leading the country through its Civil War and for his efforts to end slavery. Born on February 12, 1809, in Hodgenville, Kentucky, Lincoln grew up in a poor family and received only a basic education. He became a self-taught lawyer and eventually moved to Illinois, where he began his political career. Lincoln was a member of the Whig Party and later the Republican Party. In 1860, he was elected President of the United States, winning a four-way race with less than 40% of the popular vote. His election was seen as a threat to the Southern states, many of which seceded from the Union to form the Confederate States of America. The Civil War began in 1861, and Lincoln led the Union forces in their efforts to defeat the Confederacy. He also issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which declared that all slaves in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. The Civil War ended in 1865 with a Union victory, and Lincoln began efforts to rebuild the country. However, on April 14, 1865, just days after the war ended, Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. He was the first U.S. president to be assassinated. Lincoln is remembered as one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history. He is known for his speeches, including the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address, both of which are considered masterpieces of American oratory. He is also known for his steadfast leadership during a tumultuous time in American history and for his efforts to end slavery. Lincoln was a skilled wrestler and was known for his strength and endurance. He reportedly lost only one of nearly 300 matches. He was the first president to have a beard while in office. He grew it after receiving a letter from a young girl who suggested that he would look better with one. Lincoln was known for his sense of humor and his ability to tell stories. He often used humor to diffuse tense situations. He was deeply affected by the death of his son, Willie, who died at the age of 11 while Lincoln was president. Lincoln was not a military man, but he took a personal interest in the Union Army's operations during the Civil War. He would often visit hospitals to talk with wounded soldiers and their families. Lincoln's assassination was part of a larger conspiracy to kill several high-ranking officials in the U.S. government. Secretary of State William Seward was also targeted, but he survived his attack. Lincoln's image is featured on the U.S. penny and the 5 bill, and his statue can be found in numerous locations across the United States. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., is a national monument built in his honor. It features a 19-foot statue of Lincoln and is a popular tourist attraction. Lincoln's birthday is a federal holiday in some states and is celebrated as President's Day in others. His life and legacy have been the subject of numerous books, movies, and other forms of media, cementing his place as one of the most important figures in American history. Lincoln was the tallest U.S. president on record, standing at 6 feet 4 inches 193 centimeters tall. He suffered from depression and was known to have had several nervous breakdowns throughout his life. Lincoln was an avid reader and was largely self-taught. He is said to have read every book he could get his hands on, including the Bible, Shakespeare, and Euclid's geometry. Lincoln was a strong advocate for the Homestead Act, which provided 160 acres of free land to anyone willing to settle in the Western Territories. He was the first president to be born outside of the original 13 colonies, in what was then Kentucky. Lincoln's face was carved into Mount Rushmore along with the faces of 3 other U.S. presidents, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Theodore Roosevelt. Lincoln was the first president to use the telegraph to communicate with his generals during the Civil War, which greatly improved the speed and efficiency of military communication. Lincoln was also a skilled politician and was able to navigate the political landscape of his time with great skill. He was known for his ability to compromise and was able to bring together people with different political views to achieve common goals. His famous phrase, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people," comes from his Gettysburg Address, which he delivered in 1863 during the Civil War. Lincoln's legacy as a champion of freedom and equality has inspired people around the world. His speeches and writings continue to be studied and admired for their eloquence and their message of hope.